The Travels of Marco Polo by Marco Polo. Prologue. You, emperors, kings, dukes, marquises, earls, and knights, and all other people desirous of knowing the diversity of the races of mankind, as well as of kingdoms, provinces, and regions of all parts of the East, read through this book and you will find in it the greatest and most marvelous characteristics of the peoples, especially of Armenia, Persia, India, and Tartary, as they are severally described in the present work by Marco Polo, a wise and learned citizen of Venice, who clearly states what things he saw and what things he has heard from others. For this book will be a truthful one. It must be known, then, that from the creation of Adam to the present day, no man, whether pagan or Saracen or Christian or other, of whatever progeny or generation he may have been, ever saw or inquired into so many and such great things as this Marco Polo, wishing in his private thoughts that the things he had seen and heard should be made public for the benefit of those who could not see them with their own eyes. He himself, being in the year of our Lord 1298 in prison in Genoa, caused the things contained in this present book to be written by Master Rosticello, a citizen of Pisa, who was with him in the same prison, and he divided it into 3 parts. Chapter 1. How the brothers Niccolo and Maffeo Polo set forth from Constantinople to traverse the world. It should be made known to the reader that at the time when Baldwin II was Emperor of Constantinople, where a magistrate representing the Doge of Venice then resided, and in the year of our Lord 1250, Niccolo Polo, the father of said Marco, and Maffeo, the brother of Niccolo, respectable and well-informed men, embarked in a ship of their own, with a rich and varied cargo of merchandise, and reached Constantinople in safety. After much deliberation, they determined to try to improve their trading business by continuing their voyage into the Euxine, or Black Sea. With this in view, they made purchases of many fine and costly jewels, taking their departure from Constantinople, navigated that sea to a port named Soldaya, Sudak, on the Crimean coast. From there, they traveled on horseback many days until they reached the court of a powerful chief of the Western Tartars, named Barka Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, the ruler of the Tartars of southern Russia, who dwelt in the cities of Bulgara and Asara, or Sarai, and had the reputation of being one of the most liberal and civilized princes among the tribes of Tartary. He expressed much satisfaction at the arrival of these travelers and received them with marks of distinction. In return for this courtesy, they laid before him the jewels they brought with them, and seeing that their beauty pleased him, they presented them to him. The liberality of this conduct aroused his admiration, and being unwilling that they should surpass him in generosity, he not only directed double the value of the jewels to be paid to them, but also made them several rich presents. The brothers, having remained for a year in the dominions of this prince, they became desirous of revisiting their native country, but were hindered by the sudden breaking out of a war between Barka and a chief named Hulaku, another grandson of Genghis and brother of the great Khans, Mangu and Kublai, who ruled over the eastern Tartars. In a fierce and very bloody battle between their armies, Hulaku was victorious, in consequence of which, the roads being rendered unsafe, the brothers could not return by the way they came. They were advised that the only practical way to reach Constantinople was to proceed in an easterly direction by an unfrequented route so as to skirt the limits of Barka's territories. Accordingly, they made their way to a town named Okaka, situated on the boundary of the kingdom of the Western Tartars. Leaving that place and advancing still further, they crossed the Tigris, actually the Volga, one of the 4 rivers of paradise, and came to a desert, the extent of which was 17 days' journey, wherein they found neither town, castle, nor any substantial building, but only Tartars and their herds, dwelling in tents on the plain. After having passed through this territory, they arrived at length at a well-built city, called Bokhara, a center of trade about 500 miles east of the Caspian Sea, in a province of that name, belonging to the dominions of Persia. It is the noblest city of that kingdom and is governed by a prince named Barak. Unable to proceed further, they remained there 3 years.